Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Henry, and this is from Germany. So there might be some language translation issues here. Here we go. Hi, Ollie. This letter turned out to be longer than I originally planned. I just noticed that I can't cut anything out. I'm sorry. In my experience, and I assume in your experience as well, people affected by narcissistic abuse have got at least one advantage. We're open for truth, especially if we got next to nothing to lose. At least for me, the cycle that one needs to break free from is a cycle of lies. The perseverance with which some people, on the other hand, defend lies and half-truths sometimes is bewildering, agonizing to me. Errors are human, mistakes can happen, misunderstandings can happen. I want to make a perhaps funny example that might illustrate in what different ways people can be wrong. See, and it's not about being wrong with the narcissist. See, people can admit when they're wrong. If you got proofs like, oh, okay, I guess I'm wrong. Okay, you're right, I'm wrong. Okay, the narcissist doesn't do that. Okay, it doesn't matter what proof you give. It's because they're so sociopathic. They'll try to tell you what you're showing them isn't what you're showing them. It doesn't mean what you say it means. It's not there. That's where it becomes narcissism. That's where it becomes a personality disorder. And that's where you walk away. You're like, oh, okay. So the sky's not. So once you're at like, the sky's blue, no, it's not, you walk away. Like, okay, there's no winning this. The only way to win this is you be you, and I'm gonna be over here. Okay? That's how you win. About 10 years ago, I worked at a small local news outlet, which was really under a strong Marxist leftist influence. 10 years ago, news in Germany. Oh, yeah. Oh, Angela. Angela had her... Boy, Angela was deep into it 10 years ago. Yeah, with the adulation of her boyfriend, Obama. Oh, God. People forget how much Angela would be like all gaga for freaking Obama. Oh, it's so great watching her have to interact with Trump because she hates him. She hates him. Oh, she hates him. A fact that I underestimated back then. At a social occasion in that context, a woman named Angelina, remotely attached to that circle, showed up. We shared greetings and small talk. Oh, and if we're going into Marxist leftist and truth, like, dude, like, come on, like, the whole thing about being a Marxist and a leftist is you never have to accept the truth. Everything's always someone else's fault. That's why I hold the politics that I do. But let's keep going. She immediately dominated all the chattings, included advertising her blog titled Grassroots Democracy and Tenderness. I asked her, what exactly has grassroots democracy to do with tenderness? Because you have to be tender. You have to be tender to all the people Angela said, come invade our borders of Europe, okay, through the EU. You got to have tenderness, okay, as they come on New Year's and assault German women. And we know we know over here what's been going on in Germany. We know. That's where it started 10 years ago, this tenderness shit, okay, this tenderness and understanding. It was all a plan for the migration crisis of Europe that even she didn't realize how bad it was. Even Merkel didn't realize how bad it was going to get. She didn't realize how bad it was going to get. To the point now, she's like, oh, yeah, that's kind of fucked up. Shouldn't have done it. What exactly has grassroots democracy to do with tenderness? I asked her. I missed the link. She obviously didn't take my question for what it was, a comprehension question. because she then laughs as if I had asked her something outlandish. Right, dude, you got to understand. The leftist Marxists will make these opinions, will state these opinions as if they are verified fact from God, carried down on the tablets from Moses. This is how it works. This is how societal gaslighting works. This is how cultural communism and Marxism works. This is Cloward and Piven. This is Alinsky and rules for radicals. You laugh at your opposite. You laugh at the question, the thought of the question. Societal narcissism. This is how it works. The mere even questioning what tenderness. You can't even ask the question. Because if you're going to ask the question 10 years ago, somebody might have said, whoa, we're just going to throw open our borders for tenderness. Why? How? Who are these people coming in? Haha, of course, grassroots democracy is tenderness. We already exchanged tenderness as we were shaking hands. What is wrong with you? The other colleagues, one I call Carla, noticed how I was suddenly uncomfortable, and we were excited about how I would respond. I did what I did very often in interactions with flat earthers or Marxists. I reduced myself to a basic term definition. Shaking hands is a common Western greeting convention that one can exchange in polite social interactions among strangers. Tenderness isn't. Everyone present was more or less satisfied with my reaction. I myself was relieved by distance it effectively caused between me and Angela, who went on chatting with someone else present. When I later talked to Carla, I had an epiphany. Carla didn't hesitate, jumping to the conclusion that Angelina merely was a mentally ill person and gave me false credit for being some kind of cuckoo whisperer. I found that to be very hypocritical. For one, Carla also couldn't name the difference between a greeting convention and tenderness. She didn't know the difference between grassroots democracy as a political system and tenderness as a very private thing, and also didn't care. But that's why they use a private thing and try to make it political. And so you can't even have there is no privacy. It's all, listen, the levels of Marxism and communism, it's all about taking away your personal privacy, your personal freedom, your personal thought, and to make you afraid to even bring it up. Also, Carla faked mental illness in order to get benefits. How was she to tell if Angelina wasn't doing the same but merely showed a more convincing performance? Calling someone crazy to me is a recognitional obstacle which I'm not interested in. What I concluded instead was that Angelina was merely made a mistake by a derivation of very, very wrong premise. She had the talk. No, Angelina had the talking point. Okay, this is 10 years ago. This is like, these are body shots. These are body shots to the German populace, setting you up for tenderness and love and understanding for the influx of what they were going to pull off over the next 10 years. Think about Germany 10 years ago and think about what it is now. Try to have that argument today. They'll call you a Nazi. If a premise is wrong and everything is built up onto it, concluded from it is also wrong. Premise, the private is political. Socialist and feminist baby boomers told that lie for decades. Right, and this is the fruition of all that. If one takes that claim, which isn't suitable as orientation aid, seriously, it's no far stretch to proclaim a political concept to be identical with tenderness. Yikes. Right. Yes, that is exactly what happened. They made a political concept identical to an emotional feeling that you're not allowed to have now. Do you get it? And then they flooded your borders. And if you spoke out against it, you had no kindness, you had no tenderness. You were a neo-Nazi. You are an alt-right neo-Nazi. And now Antifa's going to come and burn your shit down. The other colleagues in that circle of news outlets showed different forms of confusion based on the same wrong premise. A different, very naive co-worker was under the belief that Informal was something good and Formal was something bad. Yeah, because Informal, you don't get held to any standards. It's all how you feel. They don't like formality. Formality is something they could be held a standard to. Unsurprisingly, her social radius was extremely limited because of her capability of context adaptation was basically zero. Is it just me, or are most, if not all, premises that mentioned type of baby boomer gave us unquestioned fallacies at best? Yeah. Listen, it's like I said, anything the baby boomer gave you is bullshit. I think I understand what you're trying to say. Is it just me, or most, if not all, premises that the mentioned type of baby boomer gave us unquestioned fallacies at best? Yeah. Understand something. The baby boomer, and look, the German boomer, I mean, they're the worst. Okay? The baby boomer thrives in unquestioned fallacies. That's what the baby boomer lives in. Because they just throw out these unquestioned fallacies and use it as facts and use it to berate you and to call you names and to make you shut the fuck up. In my opinion, it just gets insufferably narcissistic if they persist in their error and nail down those who fell on it for being crazy. Gaslighting becomes a method for that vapid endeavor. Right, and I've talked about this when I talk about rules for radicals and communism and Cloward and Piven and all those people. Okay, this is what happened in Germany the last 10 years. I doubt there can be a polite way to question the premise, the foundation of someone's beliefs or BS. I got the experience from the inside as well from the outside perspective when it comes to feminist ways of lying. Almost 20 years back, I was in extreme peril because something was going on in my life which I didn't have any words for. It was outside of everything I was prepared for. I got into a sexual relationship with a neighbor. She was 2 years older than me. Though she slept around, I was hell-bent on treating her like a lady and with respect. It was the image she presented herself as. It was extreme what she and her clique did. It would have been less of a problem if she had put her promiscuity on the warning label. Instead, I got bullied out of my own apartment by her clique. After some aimless strolling around as quasi-homeless, I pretty much jumped from the frying pan into the fire. I took shelter at another woman, to be honest, against my better instinct. Long story short, she drained me with crazy talk and more concrete threats. She was very insane. She used the paradox method of forcing me to have feelings for her and unavoidable punishment for if I didn't. At one occasion, she did to me something disgusting that made me black out, which I still don't have an appropriate term for, especially because I don't have use for a victim status. There is a thing called nervous erection, also a term that I learned way after the fact. I escaped her against all odds. That's all I'm saying about that. The point is, feminists define rape as something that technically a man can do to a woman, or that a man can do to another man. That's it. If one brings up forced to penetrate, God forbid, female on female intimate partner violence, a once civil discussion can turn into something else. Right. Only men can rape. Only men can rape, only men can assault, only straight men. That's just more feminist doctrine brought to you by the baby boomer. Look, we know what the baby boomers did with feminism. We know what they did with feminism. It goes against a wrong but also true premise. It became a true lie because everyone, even those who aren't feminists, accepted some feminist lies as unquestionable, which had consequences. There is a communication blockade intentionally erected by feminists, no pun intended. What works for me, at least, is to make differences in what way people are in what way people are wrong. In different ways, I just insist that nobody gets to conflate women with feminism. Wherever that error pops up, it'll be deliberately or not, I point it out. Being naive or gaslighting. Personally, I'm not interested in retaliating against women as an abstract plural, and I never did. So if I can bring that point across, another thing can happen. While I bring up those topics that the other person says, you are only opposing feminism because you were personally affected by abusive women. Only, in most cases, it's a double bind. The same person who would say to a non-affected anti-feminist, you aren't personally affected by abusive women, so you have no idea what you're talking about. You're a poser who finds it fashionable to oppose feminism. Right, the arguments aren't fair and they don't go both ways. Like, again, you're living in the system the boomers set up, and there's no fairness in it. So there is no reason for anyone to care about that argument at all, given the private isn't political. Besides, women affected by abusive women are virtually not existing. Besides women affected by abusive women are virtually not existing. That's not true. Not only by watching a lot of your videos, I know a lot of those non-existing affected women. Okay, it's sarcasm. I watch narcissism videos about feminism for the last 5 years. The influence might be obvious. It saddens me that back in the 70s, Erin Pizzey, who built the first domestic abuse shelter for women, had lost the battle against feminists. She knew that women also can be violent. Feminists who denied, probably the greatest paradox of human history. The most positive thing that Pizzey did was basically teach men and women how to family. Well, feminists who want to destroy families got way more funding. Sad. It's the same everywhere in the West. What I learned from another great woman, Karen Strogan, is how feminists like Mary Koss lied with statistics about intimate partner violence and rape. I mean, just the fact that Koss test group consisted of university students only doesn't make those statistics very representative for a whole country or even the world at large. I'm saying that if one takes them as a premise for further conclusions, those conclusions necessarily must be wrong. You often said that one has to get to the bottom of it. Is it the same to question false premises? Is that what you mean? Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. I end this letter. I really love your work. I like your educational videos very much. I wish you and Charlene happy holidays and a happy new year. Peace, Henry. Yeah, this is all about the false premises of the narcissist. Okay, that's of the baby boomer. That's what the baby boomer does. Is they thrive in false premises. They thrive in it. They live in it. That's what they do. They just throw out shit as fact, and all it is false, and you got to sit there and break it all down. So, I hope that helps. Thank you, Henry, for your contribution and your story. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to have a private video made, or you'd just like to make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been the Narcissistic Resistance. Take care.